All right, Genesis 37, let's call this one potential. Why? Because yesterday we talked a little bit about potential from the perspective of those who see the best in us, even though our current performance may be lacking. Today, however, we're going to focus on a young man by the name of Joseph, whose current potential by the time we see him in chapter 37 is significant enough that even his brothers are taking his dreams seriously, and that's actually going to get him into trouble. Why? Because he's going to dream twice. The first time he's going to dream a dream that suggests they are one day going to have to bow before him. The second time, it's going to expand to the point where it seems that even his mother and father, along with his brothers, are going to have to one day bow before him. And that's where we pick up the chapter in verse 9, where he describes his second dream. And it reads, "Then he dreamed another dream and told it to his brothers and said, 'Behold, I've dreamed another dream. Behold, the sun, the moon, and 11 stars were bowing down to me.' But when he told it to his fathers and to his brothers, his father rebuked him and said to him, 'What is this dream that you have dreamed? Shall I and your mother and your brothers indeed come to bow ourselves to the ground before you?' And his brothers were jealous of him, but his father kept the saying in mind." First thing to notice, the reaction between the two parts of the family, his father taking it seriously and keeping it in mind, his brother simply being provoked to jealousy. Nobody dismissing him as being silly. It's the first thing to understand. As we said, his potential was significant enough that in a situation where most folks, if you were simply being silly, would keep it moving. Why? Because everybody's busy. You're going to see later on, these boys have work to do. And the father, much like any parent, if your kids are being silly, unless they're just getting on your nerves, you're typically going to tend to dismiss the frivolous things that they say. But nobody dismisses what this boy is saying because they likely see, once again, the potential in him. Next thing to notice is this chapter reminded me of one of my favorite artists, a gentleman by the name of Bizzle, a rapper who does truth music, who noticed this about attempts to compare God to Santa Claus when dismissing God's reality. He simply noticed that nobody spends that much time hating Santa Claus. Why is that? Because they know the potential is that God actually exists. And so in the hatred, you get insight into the reality of God. And likewise, in the hatred that Joseph got from his brothers, you're getting insight into the reality of really what is on deck. And that is the fact that this young man is about to become second in command of Egypt. And so what we're seeing is a young man whose reality is significant enough that even his dreams shake his family, whether it's father, mother, brothers, or whoever. And so in a lot of ways, it can help us understand this. Look, when we are trying to sort through the reactions that we are getting from people, it can be difficult to understand what's genuinely going on, because this father, in publicly rebuking his son, may actually be trying to protect the child. Why? Because earlier on in the chapter, we're going to realize that he actually loves Joseph more, and these brothers are already angry. And so this father, understanding the politics of the situation, understands he doesn't need to show this kid any more favoritism than is already making these brothers angry. And why is it dangerous? Because later on, they're going to reach a compromise where they sell him into slavery instead of killing him, because they want to kill him. At least a good number of them do. And so in publicly disciplining the boy, the father is, in a lot of ways, potentially trying to save his life. So understand, in your own reactions, you are going to need the insight to see beneath the surface reactions of the people around you. And that is one of the reasons why James, later on in the New Testament book of James, is going to say, "If any of you lacks wisdom, ask God." And he really could have said, "When any of you lacks wisdom, ask God," because even though human motivations can be simple, the need to eat, lust, the desire for money, those kinds of things are simple and straightforward, but they're often masked beneath an exterior that can be hard to interpret. And so if we're going to spend time, especially as believers, going to church, we might as well try to tap into the wisdom that God gives us, not only in our environment, but insight we need into people. And so that's why James says, ask for wisdom, but ask for the right reasons. And so when we are trying to sort out the reactions of those around us, there are some times when we need to take them seriously because there are changes that we need to make to our game, for lack of a better term. But there are times when people may be dismissing us and marginalizing us because they actually see our potential for greatness. And we don't need to waste time being anxious or overly concerned about being dismissed in situations where people are dismissing us because they actually might be concerned about our potential success. So God willing, you will be able to sort between truth and fiction in the reactions you're getting from the people around you.